the council members please take your seat in the well? Will all the council members please take your seat in the well? I'm also going to ask if all of the media can make sure that you see our media team, Joan Mazzolini and also Daryl Torbert, so that you can make sure that you are properly seated in the media area to my right, your left. Okay? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Griffin.
Here.
Bishop. Conwell. Gray. Hairston. Harsh. House Jones. Jones. Casey. Kelly. Moorer. McCormack. Polensik. Santana. Slife. Spencer. Starr. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to take a moment, if I could, to make sure that I read the updated rules and policies for Cleveland City Council and the protocol for public safety involvement and disruptions of Cleveland City Council meetings. I would like to make sure that you understand that there are 6 steps in this process: overview, warning, recess, leave, room cleared, and return. The overview, number 1, the presiding officer opens the council meeting with a clear review of the rules and procedures of disruptions and for disruptions. Number 2, warning. If and as soon as an individual or group speaks out of turn and disrupts the meeting, the presiding officer calls the meeting to attention using the gavel. B, the presiding officer states, "This meeting's business has been disrupted. I call this meeting to order. Please refrain from disrupting this lawful meeting. Speaking out of turn and making loud utterances are in violation of the rules of this council and interferes with the due conduct of this meeting. This is a warning that such activity is in violation of the codified ordinances and must immediately stop. It is essential that the presiding officer note on the record that council business has been disrupted and that he or she issue a warning. If council business continues without interruption, then it is if council business continues without interruption, then it is challenging to claim that the disruptive actions constituted interference with the proceedings. Number 3, recess. If the conduct is repeated or if it continues, the presiding officer must call a recess. The rules of council do not include a motion for recess, so they default to Robert's rules. The presiding officer should state, "This council cannot continue its business due to the disruption. As a result, I move that we recess until the disruption has concluded." Is the motion seconded? Without objection, the motion is approved. C, the motion passes. Council stands in recess until the disruption has concluded. I request that the Director of Public Safety clear the room. Number 4, leave. Council members will leave the chambers and go to the committee room. The council meeting is temporarily recessed. No public business is to be discussed or conducted during recess or when any quorum of council members is gathered. Number 5, the room is cleared. The Director of Public Safety orders the assembled officers to clear the council chambers of all members of the public, whether or not they were engaged in disruption. As there is no longer public business occurring in the council chambers, there is no longer a right to be present in the council chambers. Number B, upon completion, number 5B, upon completion, the Director of Public Safety informs the presiding officer that council chambers must be cleared. Number 6, return. Council members may return to the council chambers. The remainder of the meeting must continue to be open to the public electronically, via internet and television. Public in-person attendance, except for the media, will be prohibited for the remainder of the meeting. 6B, the presiding officer resumes business by stating the recess has ended and the meeting will come to order. The meeting can then resume from the point at which recess was called. Thank you for acknowledging these rules and regulations of Cleveland City Council. With that being said, we will now move to Madam Clerk. Please dispense with the journal.
By Councilmember Moore, that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with the journal approved, seconded by Councilmember Starr.
We will now move to public comment. I will make sure that all of the council people acknowledge our speakers, and then once again, all of our speakers, if they can acknowledge the time. Once you see yellow, that means that wrap it up, and then once you see red, that means that your time is up. First, we have Stephen Katanovich from Ward 7, wrongly banned at Galleria, Erie View Tower. He's not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Stephen, you have the floor.
Okay. I'm addressing a local issue. I am wrongly banned at the Erie View Tower. 8 years ago, Galleria security told me that I was banned for life from entering the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. Once again, 8 years ago, Galleria security told me that I was banned for life from entering the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. Why was I banned? I was wrongly accused of doing something. 2 security guards wrongly accused me of masturbating in the restrooms, something I did not do. Again, 2 security guards wrongly accused me of masturbating in the restrooms, something I did not do. I am a victim of rumors and corporate conspiracy. Revitalizing the Erie View Tower. That agenda is well known over here. James Kassoff is the current owner of the Erie View Tower, and I am writing monthly letters to James Kassoff and Associates. Once again, 8 years ago, Galleria security told me that I was banned for life from entering the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. I was wrongly accused of masturbating in the restrooms. You want me to talk about the war? I'll make it real quick. People have been making war for 8,000 years. That's right. People have been making war for 8,000 years. Cain versus Abel. It's time to break the cycle of war. Work for peace. Work for peace. Now, don't forget about my wrongful ban at the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. I have to make a stand against it. I am 49 years old. I am sober and rarely drink alcohol. My name is Stephen Katanovich. Again, my name is Stephen Katanovich, or in short, Stephen K.
Thank you, Stephen. Next, we have Shireen Nasser from Ward 15. Shireen would like to talk about the ceasefire resolution, representing no one and being paid by no one.
This is my 11th straight week of attending city council meetings. Every Monday I leave work and I come straight here. I skip dinner. I go the entire day without seeing my kids. I left my daughter with 102 fever at home tonight. I come here because I can't live with myself if I leave my kids this broken world where their voices are seen as less important and their lives as dispensable. I come because it's the least I can do for the father in Gaza who spent the last 2 months digging through rubble, looking for his 7-month-old daughter's body to give her a proper burial. I come for my own father who's in the West Bank experiencing diminishing economic opportunity, lack of access to clean water, and rampant violence from extremist Israeli settlers. I come for the Cleveland Palestinian students that I speak to who tell me about experiencing horrible discrimination in their schools, including in CMSD and Cleveland universities. I also come every Monday for the millions in Ohio who struggle to put food on the table or pay rent, while $3.8 billion a year of our tax dollars get sent unconditionally to a foreign country to kill Palestinians. I come because I have an obligation to use whatever voice I have in whatever space I can to tell this world, to make this world do better and be better. I'm not the only one here today with this story, leaving our families, skipping dinner, putting our other obligations aside every Monday. We show up week after week because we believe that the world can and should be a better world can and should be fought for. We come every week because we still have hope that our city representatives can be brave and can stand with us to make that world better. We come here every week because we see you as our potential partners in building this better world. There is nothing complicated about saying stop the bombing of hospitals, schools, refugee camps, and return all of the hostages. There are children dying in Gaza without any external injuries because radiating pressure from so many bombs is causing their lungs to collapse, and we are paying for it. I do not believe for a second that any single one of you, not one of you, thinks that is okay. I think that if you weren't in your current seats, you'd be sitting back here with us. I think that many of you would have signed the ceasefire letter, which now has over 1,800 signatures. So break this invisible barrier. Stand with us, be with us. The world will never be the same after this. 10, 20 years from now, when you think back on this moment, I don't want any of you to have any regrets. I together want us to build a beautiful Cleveland that speaks for justice, that welcomes all, and that prioritizes people over war. You all have everything you need to be in partnership with us, to stand up brave leaders in service of this community. You have language that the Jewish Federation sent each of you and made public that says they would agree to a ceasefire and the stipulations for that. You have the language we proposed to you and our testimony over the course of 11 weeks.
That's time.
All that is left is for you to act. We're simply asking you to raise your voices with us, to act with us,
time.
Please.
Thank you. Next, we have April LaRoe. April LaRoe is from Rocky River. April is here to talk about community health concerns. She's representing her business, and she's not being paid by anyone.
City Council, President Griffin, Council women and men, Mayor Bibb, my name's April. I do have a business in Ward 7, and I'm also a nurse. Unlike Shireen, last week was my first City Council meeting, and I want to tell you all that you brought a lot of shame on our city. Last week, by refusing to stand to condemn the murder of 30,000 civilians, I was embarrassed to be a lifelong Clevelander. Council President Griffin, you talked about decorum in your media interview, and I personally don't see any decorum in the fact that you have ignored these people for 11 weeks. My plan today was to come up here and speak from a nursing perspective, from a healthcare perspective, how the healthcare system in Gaza has been completely decimated. Every single hospital bombed. 400 doctors, nurses, medics have been killed. Many have been kidnapped by the occupation forces. People are living without access to medication because the occupation won't let the medication in. But honestly, I know that all these people here have told you these facts for 11 weeks, so it appears to me that you don't see Palestinians as human. I have no Palestinian blood in me, no ties to the region, and I am mortified by your actions. My 11-year-old daughter, she wanted to come here today, and I emailed to ask if she could speak in my place. And Deputy Clerk Alan Dreyer wrote to me that there have been weekly demonstrations at the council meetings, and they've been pretty negative experiences, and that it wouldn't be a good environment for her. So she ended up coming home from school sick today, and she wanted me to pass along a few messages to you. And I want to tell you, this girl is a firecracker, an honor student, a future lawyer. She's performed at the Rock Hall. This girl's going places, and she wanted me to tell you all that the children of Cleveland are watching you. Not just the children of these people, but my children. Everyone's children are watching you. And she said that standing with these people would not be a negative experience, but an empowering one. Finally, Council President Griffin, in your interview with the media, you also mentioned that the protesters want council to act in ways that are out of council's control. Yet we know that you passed a resolution for Ukraine within a month? And it's not your decision to make. It's the constituents' decision. It's all of your jobs to be a voice of the people and not your donors.
Thank you. Next, we have Tiha Antoinette. Tiha Antoinette is from Rocky River to talk about the ceasefire and representing Opal and Muscata Collective and not being paid by anyone. Is Tiha Antoinette here? Tiha Antoinette? I don't see Tiha Antoinette, so therefore I'll move to the next speaker. Reverend Pamela M. Pinckney from Cleveland, and her topic is legislation being put in place for current concerns. Apologize to some people, and she's representing the International Heterosexual Clergy Alliance, and she's not being paid by anyone. Reverend Pinckney.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. It's time for world peace, you all. Time to stop all this. It's time to free America, free Palestine, free Africa, free Israel, free the people from all of this violence here in Cleveland, Ohio, and across the world. Before I proceed, Jesus heals, Christ reveals and overcomes, and I owe an apology to Mayor Justin Bibb, Judge Kathleen Ansatula, Cuyahoga County Councilwoman Emerita Turner, and to Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael C. O'Malley. What I did when I spoke here on September the 25th was wrong. I take what I do very seriously, and I'm a leader, and I have to lead people to do what's right. Whether you all do what I agree with or not, I should have done better, and I ask, will you please forgive me for that, because I hope I didn't start a wave of trouble. Jesus heals, not kills. Christ overcomes, not beats up people, and I apologize for that. I ask that this council would begin to put legislation in place. I'm the founder and visionary of the International Heterosexual Clergy Alliance, that you would begin to put legislation in place to implement rights for we who are heterosexual, Christian, multiracial, and the people of color. There's a wave in this nation that's transferring into other nations of racism and other isms. And I ask that you would begin to implement draft legislation that would be suitable for the executive and the judicial branches of government, as well as the religious community, to be able to fulfill. It's time out now for people to stop being afraid of law enforcement officers and law enforcement officers being afraid of the people. It's time out now for people to have come down here being angry and afraid that they don't know whether their children will come home from school or not, their places of worship will be bombed, whether they have a safe place to be in here in America, in Palestine, in Israel, in Africa, or wherever. We need some current legislation that will be able to be suitable to meet the needs of all of the people. Once again, I don't come down here to bash, fight, and argue, or insult, or embarrass anybody. But I say to each of you listening to me today and hearing me today, it is time for world peace.
Time.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Rabbi Scott Rowland from Beechwood. Gratitude to council for their strong moral clarity. He's not representing anyone, and he's not being paid by anyone. Is Rabbi Scott Rowland in the audience? Rabbi Scott Rowland? Rabbi Scott Rowland going once, going twice. I don't see Rabbi Scott Rowland. Dantes Taylor, is Dantes Taylor here? Dantes Taylor is from Cleveland. He has concerns about the county jails and children and family services. He's not representing anyone, and he's not being paid by anyone. Mr. Taylor, you have the floor.
There, your mic is right there. Right there.
Yes, my name is Dantes Taylor, and I am concerned about our juvenile detention center how we need to find out how city council, county council can come up with a program for our kids so when they get out of the juvenile detention center, that their diploma can, if they need a high school diploma and they get it in there, it could be accredited where they can use it at these colleges and all over the United States, so they can get stuff done. And in child and family services, we need to find out why they are deploying our kids and using them as people and using their bodies as wrong objects and everything else out here in our city and everything else. So and God bless you, and I would like to see that we can work together to do this so we can make it better for our people out here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Next, we have Dela Abu Shawish from Parma Heights, here to talk about the Palestine ceasefire, not representing anyone, and not being paid by anyone. Is Dela Abu Shawish here? Don't see her. Going once, going twice. All right, next we have Sarah Popivker from Cleveland Heights to talk about attacks on Jewish women. And Sarah is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Sarah, you have the floor.
Esteemed Mayor and members of the City Council, we just commemorated Holocaust Remembrance Day, and never like this year it has been as painful and sober of a day, because the Jewish people, and in particular Jewish women, have been victims on October 7th once again of a genocide by the hands of heartless Palestinian terrorists. There are still dozens of women held hostage in Gaza, but pro-Hamas groups, including local ones, and their followers, have been trying to minimize this horrible crime, saying that somehow these women deserve to be captured, raped, and mutilated because they are Israeli. In other words, me too, unless you're a Jew. Which person in the right mind would spread this kind of message? I am very grateful to you for condemning the horrible acts of October 7th and beyond, and want to encourage you to stay strong in the pursuit of justice. Because a ceasefire without the return of all the hostages and the complete elimination of Palestinian terrorists and their proxies would just mean rewarding the bullies, like the ones present here tonight who have been bullying you every week. Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next we have Alec Popivker, and Alec Popivker is from Cleveland Heights. Alec is here to talk about the resolution against Palestinian anti-Semitism. He is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone.
Shalom Aleichem, Honorable Mayor, esteemed council members. As Americans today, we mourn for American soldiers who were murdered by Iranians, who also support these guys here and supported the genocide against Israelis on 10/7. May God avenge their blood, the blood of all the innocent people. I'd like to say a prayer. This prayer was said by Jewish people since the time of King David, when King David would go out to war, like our government of America has been doing, fighting for justice and peace, and like Israel has been doing since its very inception. I'd like to say this prayer. May God help them all. למנצח מזמור לדוד. יענך אדוני ביום צרה, ישגבך שם אלוהי יעקב. ישלח עזרך מקודש ומציון יסעדך. יזכור כל מנכסיך ולעשיך ידשנה סלע. ייתן לך חלבביך וכל עצתך ימלא. נרננה בישועתך ובשם אלוהינו נדגול. ימלא אדוני כל משלעשיך. עתה ידעתי כי הושיע אדוני משיחי. יענהו משמי קדשו בגבורת ישוע ימיני. אלה ורכב ואלה וסוסים. ואנחנו בשם אדוני אלוהינו נזכיר. הם עקרו ונפלו, ואנחנו קמנו ונסעדנו. אדוני יושיע המלך, יעננו ויום קראנו. Please say amen. I wanted to say that the people speaking here, the way they demonize Israelis and Jews, this is not a new phenomenon. It's pretty ancient, actually, and it comes from lack of education. So while I am very grateful to those of you, unfortunately not all of the council members understand what propaganda is, and some of one person on this council is actually a victim of this propaganda. So while I'm very grateful for those who have the courage to speak the truth and support Israel, I think we're not doing enough in the matter of education. Our colleges, our schools, they're allowing this kind of propaganda to go on. And this is something that Governor Mike DeWine addressed over a year ago when he made an executive order for all public offices to adopt the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism.
Time.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Thank you. We'll now move to communications. Madam Clerk, please share communications.
File number 95, 2024, from Mark E. Whipke, Chief Asset Management, Cleveland Housing Partners. Notice of intent to apply to Ohio Housing Finance Agency for multifamily funding programs for the development known as Parkside Homes East on approximately 69 land parcels in Cleveland, Ohio. File number 96, 2024, from Jessica Sheldon, Vice President, Beacon Communities. Notice of intent to apply to Ohio Housing Finance Agency for multifamily funding programs for the redevelopment of former Empire Junior High property at 9113 Parmalee Avenue, Ward 9. File number 97, 2024, from Derek Tillman, CEO and President, Bridging the Gap. Notice of intent to apply to Ohio Housing Finance Agency for multifamily funding programs for the development known as Waterson Lake on property located approximately at 1422 West 74th Street, Ward 15. File number 147, 2024, dedication plat for Trailside subdivision with dedication of Echo Avenue and East 71st Place, located between East 71st Street and East 72nd Street, north of Etna Road, south of Morgana Run Trail, Ward 12. From the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, file number 98, 2024. Regarding a stock application at 16800 Lorraine Avenue, Ward 17. File number 99, 2024, regarding a stock application at 1261-65 West 6th Street, Ward 3. File number 100, 2024, regarding a stock application at 921 Huron Road, Ward 5. File number 101, 2024, regarding a stock application at 101 West St. Clair Avenue, Ward 3. File number 102, 2024, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 14804 St. Clair Avenue, Ward 10. File number 139, 2024, regarding a transfer of license application at 1022 Madison Avenue, Ward 11. File number 140, 2024, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 2517 Market Avenue and 2521 Market Avenue, Ward 3. File number 141, 2024, regarding a stock application at 5346 Doloff Road, Ward 5. File number 148, 2024, regarding a new license application at 4142 Rocky River Drive, Ward 17.
Are there any condolence resolutions?
Resolutions of condolence by Councilmember Conwell for Norman Evans, by Councilmember Gray for Deborah L. Smith, by Councilmember Griffin for May Helen Patrick, by Councilmembers Griffin and Conwell for Marion Eleanor McClendon, by Councilmember Kelly for Walter Wally E. Martins Jr., by Councilmember Polensik for Lauren Daly, by Councilmember Polensik for Mildred Zupansik.
Councilman Slife. Councilman Slife.
Please all down a number for Father Jerome Duke. Jerome.
Councilman Slife, did you get your condolence person in?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Joe Jones.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to ask that you take a number out for Jim Knight. Jim Knight passed in the community a couple of weeks ago. He was a member of this body. He served in a leadership position as the president of the Lee Harvard Association, so I appreciate you putting that number out. Thank you.
Absolutely. Councilman Kevin Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, can you hold a number out for Ms. Eddie Mae Carwell?
Duly noted. Madam Clerk, can you please also hold out a number for Ray Christosic Sr.?
So noted.
Any other condolences? Councilwoman Gray, Councilman Starr.
Number out for Larry Bell.
Larry Bell, duly noted. Councilman Starr.
Hold a number out for Uncle Charles Taylor.
Duly noted. Councilwoman House Jones.
Please hold out a number for Martin Johnson, please.
So noted.
Duly noted. Seeing no other condolence resolutions, will all council members rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. Are there any congratulatory resolutions?
Resolutions of congratulations by Councilmember Griffin for Meyer Fairfax Market, by Councilmembers Slife and Kelly for David Joseph McLaughlin, by Councilmembers Slife and Kelly for Reverend Francis Patrick Walsh, by Councilmembers Slife and Kelly for Patrick Thomas Murphy, by Councilmembers Slife and Kelly for Patricia Homan, by Councilmembers Slife and Kelly for Sarah O'Brien. Resolutions of recognition by Councilmember Starr for Bridget Smith Jackson. Resolutions of commemoration by Councilmember Griffin for annual Jackie Gillen Scholarship and Awards Luncheon, Black Environmental Leaders Association.
Thank you. I don't have any presentations. Madam Clerk, please move the first reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 103, 2024, by Councilmembers Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Directors of Public Works and Finance to enter into one or more concession agreements for the operation of soft drink, candy, snack, and other vending machines throughout various parks and various city-owned and city-leased buildings for a period not to exceed 2 years, with a 1-year option to renew, exercisable by the Directors, and to extend the existing concession agreements for a period up to 6 months or until such earlier time as new concession agreements are entered into under this ordinance. Ordinance 104, 2024, by Councilmember Griffin, authorizing the Clerk of Council to enter into agreement with JS Strategies, LLC, for the professional services necessary to conduct an audit, review, and assessment of Cleveland City Council's communication programs. Ordinance 105, 2024, by Councilmember Griffin, authorizing the Director of Public Safety to enter into a grant agreement with Crime Stoppers of Cuyahoga County to carry out the public purpose of providing community outreach to educate people about the Crime Stoppers process in order to increase reporting of crimes and improve public safety in the city and surrounding region. Ordinance 106, 2024 by Councilmember Griffin, authorizing the Clerk of Council to enter into agreement with the Housing Research and Advocacy Center, DBA Fair Housing Center for Rights and Research, to provide professional services regarding the Vacant and Abandoned Property Action Council. Ordinance 107, 2024 by Councilmember Casey, authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a grant agreement with Urlee Group, LLC, or its designee, to provide economic development assistance to partially finance renovation of a building located at 12400 Crossburn Avenue to build an indoor pickleball facility. Ordinance 108, 2024 by Councilmembers McCormack, Bishop, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to execute a deed of easement granting to adjacent property owners, their successors, and assigns certain easement rights in property located in the Flats East Bank development area, and declaring that the easement rights granted are not needed for the city's public use. Ordinance 109, 2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Human Resources to enter into one or more contracts in order to provide professional services necessary to administer and provide group prescription insurance coverage for the City of Cleveland employees for a period up to 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Human Resources. Ordinance 110, 2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Human Resources to employ one or more consultants to provide assessment and design of a citywide management training strategy and implementation program and a citywide employee performance management and implementation program. Ordinance 111, 2024 by Councilmembers Kelly, Bishop, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the mayor and the commissioner purchases and supplies to sell certain city-owned property no longer needed for the city's public use located on West 130th Street to 3945 West 130th Properties, LLC, or its designee for the purposes of redevelopment. Ordinance 112, 2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of paging equipment, cellular devices, and data services, and for wireless connectivity and equipment, and various related products and services, including materials, equipment supplies, services, maintenance, training, support, and monthly fees and charges for citywide use, for the Division of Information Technology and Services, Department of Finance, for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Ordinance 114, 2024 by Councilmembers McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to exercise the first option to renew a contract with Cook Paving and Construction for the public improvement of repairing, maintaining, and installing concrete on runways, taxiways, ramps, roadways, and other paved services for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control. Ordinance 115, 2024 by Councilmembers McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into a lease agreement with Lee A. Baggett, MD, for the lease of certain city-owned space in the passenger terminal building at Burke Lakefront Airport for an operation of medical examination office for pilots for the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 4 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 116, 2024 by Councilmembers McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into a lease agreement with T&G Flying Club for a lease of space in a passenger terminal building at Burke Lakefront Airport for operation of a flight training school, aircraft rental program, and related services for student pilots for the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 4 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 117, 2024 by Councilmembers McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase and/or rental by one or more requirement contracts of heavy-duty equipment and other equipment and with other equipment with operators, and any necessary labor, materials, or equipment needed for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control for a period of 2 years with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 118, 2024, by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of automatic doors, including labor and materials needed to install, inspect, repair, replace, and maintain automatic doors for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 119, 2024, by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase and/or rental by one or more requirement contracts of machines, equipment, supplies, and parts needed to repair, replace, refurbish, maintain, upfit, and enhance vehicles, equipment, and machines, including labor, materials, installation, training, inspections, and related services for the various divisions of the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 120, 2024, by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into one or more contracts with Go Apron, Inc. for an automated airport gate scheduling and billing management software solution for the Common Use Airport Operation Program for the Department of Port Control for a period of 1 year with 4 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 145, 2024, by Council Members Starr, Hairston, and Santana, authorizing the Director of Community Development to enter into a grant agreement with Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation or its designee as the city's agent to provide construction gap financing for housing units, subsidized renovation of homes in strategically targeted areas, finance the acquisition and vacant and abandoned properties for the purposes of the renovation program, and finance a beautification pilot program in wards 5, 10, and 14.
First reading emergency ordinances to be passed. First reading emergency ordinance to be passed.
Ordinance 113, 2024, by Councilmember McCormack, consenting and approving the issuance of a permit for the Pigskin Classic 5K on November 30th, 2024, managed by Hermes Sports and Events. Ordinance 121, 2024, by Councilmember Moore, to amend Section 1 of Ordinance 553, 2023, relating to a First Amendment to agreement with Slavic Village Development for Cleveland City Council.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Moore, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Starr.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Thank you. Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Thank you. First reading emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution 122, 2024, by Councilmember Starr, objecting to a C1 liquor permit at 4818 Pershing Avenue. Resolution 123, 2024, by Councilmember Conwell, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C2, C2X liquor permit to 12333 Superior Avenue. Resolution 124, 2024, by Councilmember Hairston, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C2, C2X, and D6 liquor permit to 12730 St. Clair Avenue. Resolution 142, 2024, by Councilmember Hairston, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a D5, D6 liquor permit to 14804 St. Clair Avenue. Resolution 143, 2024, by Councilmember Hairston, withdrawing objection to a new C1 liquor permit at 12107 St. Clair Avenue and repealing Resolution 1045, 2023, objecting to said permit. Resolution 144, 2024, by Councilmember Hairston, withdrawing objection to a new C1 liquor permit at 1014 East 152nd Street and repealing Resolution 1043, 2023, objecting to said permit. Resolution 146, 2024, by Councilmember Casey, withdrawing objection to the transfer of ownership of a C1, C2, D6 liquor permit at 4161 West 150th Street, South Unit, and repealing Resolution 742, 2023, objecting to said permit.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Moore, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Starr.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Call the roll on adoption.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Second reading, emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 1379, 2023, by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Safety to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services for fiscal year 22 Project Safe Neighborhoods Grant, and authorizing one or more contracts with mental health services for homeless persons, DBA Frontline Services, and the Near West Side Multi-Service Corporations to implement the grant. Ordinance 1380, 2023, by Councilmembers Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Public Safety to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services for fiscal year 23 Recovery Ohio Law Enforcement Program to provide funding for the operation of the Cartel Gang Narcotics Laundering Task Force. Ordinance 72, 2024, by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Finance to enter into an agreement with the National Forum for Black Public Administrators and AmeriCorps Vista for the placement of an intern in the Department of Finance, Division of Information Technology Services, to provide support for the city's broadband initiative for a period of 1 year. Ordinance 36, 2024, as amended, by Councilmembers Conwell and Griffin, Starr and Gray by departmental request, to amend the title, the second whereas clause, and sections 1 and 4 of Ordinance 895, 2022, relating to authorizing the Director of City Planning to create the Transformative Arts Projects Fund Program, to repeal Section 5 and renumber existing Section 6 to new Section 5.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Moore, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Starr.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Harrison, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Thank you. Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Thank you so much. We're going to go now to introductions, and I just have a couple of introductions. State Representative Sean Brennan is here. Want to acknowledge State Representative Sean Brennan, if he could stand up. Former Cleveland City Council President Jay Westbrook, if he could please stand up. I know we have a couple of suburban council people here. Asu Mook Robinson, if he could please stand. Richmond Heights, new Richmond Heights councilman. Thank you. And then we have my friend Matthew Howard, Warrensville Heights council person. Matthew Howard. Do we have any more introductions? Prosecutor O'Malley, where's he at? Oh, there he is. Prosecutor O'Malley, I know he came last week. I didn't know you were here again this week. Prosecutor Mike O'Malley. Used to be a member of this body as well. Do we have any other introductions? Any other introductions? Seeing no other introductions, are there any announcements? All right, Councilman Conwell.
Thank you very much. Announcement this Saturday at 10:30 a.m., the home of the mighty Tar Blooders, the Glenville Library would do a groundbreaking from 10:30 to 1 p.m. It's located at 11900 St. Clair Avenue. The groundbreaking will start at 1 p.m., so we will have a lot of festivities going on at that time, and people will do, they will have a lot of taking pictures, because that's the gathering place in the community. Once again, this Saturday, starting at 10:30 a.m., 11900 St. Clair Avenue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll now move to miscellaneous, and I do want to recognize Councilwoman Rebecca Moore. She's asked for additional time in her period. Councilwoman Moore.
Thank you. I first want to address the folks behind me. I'm rising tonight first and foremost to say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's taken me months to rise in person at the end of a council meeting to make a statement recognizing the Palestinian community that has come before us to speak each week. I'm sorry I've let so many meetings pass without using my voice to personally condemn the horrors of civilian killings in Israel and in Gaza, and to add my voice to those around the world calling for a ceasefire. Instead, for weeks, I have sat in this chair and tried to watch the public commenters speak with a focus and intensity that I hope desperately would convey some of my shared anguish. I have issued written statements calling for a ceasefire. I've had dozens of one-on-one conversations with people on this topic from both sides of the well wall. But the truth is that nothing is a substitute for saying the words in this council chambers. Despite weeks of trying, it is clear to me at this point that this body will not pass a full ceasefire resolution or even give one the dignity of a vote if it is introduced. And what I'm left with, and what I will use now, is my voice. There are many who want to make a resolution complicated, to say that to speak out, we must say everything exactly right, or that if we speak in a way that messes up even a single thing, we will do harm to our communities. There are those who say that there must be a shared compromise, one written between Palestinian and Israeli communities here in Cleveland. To that, I say, in fact, the situation before us is very, very simple. We have witnessed civilian death on a massive scale, from Hamas's October 7th attacks to the Netanyahu government's brutal retaliation, which has killed tens of thousands of Palestinians and far, far too many children. The International Court of Justice has now ruled it, quote, plausible that Israel has committed acts that violate the Genocide Convention.
Excuse me, she has the floor. Please be quiet. Please consider yourself warned. Councilwoman Moore, please proceed.
And the violence is far from over. People are facing looming famine, disease, and mass displacement, and there are hostages who still have not been returned. As humans, yes, even as elected officials, perhaps especially as elected officials, we can look at this and respond simply and say, enough is enough. We need a permanent ceasefire to begin to create the conditions for humanitarian relief in Gaza and a long-term solution. Moreover, in insisting on a resolution that is shared between two communities, I fear we are replicating the harm that the speakers behind us have spoken to week after week. Why are we putting Palestinian humanity in the hands of anybody else? Why are there prerequisites before we say we need peace and your community deserves to live? That's the simple version of things. But if you need me to make it complicated, I can. Israel has the right to exist, but so does Palestine. Israel must bring an end to illegal settlement activity, and any ceasefire agreement needs to include Hamas's release of hostages and a cessation of rocket fire into Israel. It's clear that that the international community has for far too long denied the legitimate desire and the need for an autonomous, thriving, and self-determined Palestinian state. Netanyahu's refusal of a two-state solution should be deeply concerning to all of us. The United States provides $3 billion in military aid to the Israeli government every year, and we have a special relationship with Israel as a result, and we bear a shared responsibility for Israel's actions, military and otherwise. Whether you look at what has been happening in the complicated way or the simple way, there is only one human way, and that is a ceasefire. There are also those who say that somebody in local government like me simply should not engage on this topic, that this chamber is the wrong forum, that we cannot possibly be informed enough to speak out. I disagree. First, Cleveland's community is uniquely intertwined with the histories of Israel and Palestine. Cleveland has a sister city in Israel, and the Northeast Ohio region has one of the largest Jewish communities in America. Northeast Ohio is also home to thousands of Palestinian Americans. Both communities own homes, run businesses, and contribute to our vibrant city. Anti-Semitic and anti-Islamophobic hate crimes have been increasing across the United States, and they have come to our doorstep here in Cleveland, from vandalizations of Jewish cemeteries to the targeting of Palestinian-run businesses after October 7th. It is incumbent on leaders in any city to take moral stands in the face of a moral crisis. I feel this morality in a particularly deep way because the faith and history that I hold dear as a Jewish American are being invoked to support the Netanyahu government's horrific actions. Some say that the destruction of Hamas at all costs, at the cost of the lives of thousands of children and civilians, is worth it in the name of Jewish safety. But everything I have ever learned from Judaism tells me otherwise. I say that Jewish safety is forever intertwined with Palestinian safety, and we can only be safe together. Again, I am sorry it took me so long to say this in this forum, and still, you deserve so much more. If I am honest about why I did not speak earlier, I feared alienating my colleagues. I have worked hard to build relationships with each and every one of you, and I understand why I have been asked many times to not force members of this body to take a stand on an issue from across an ocean when we have so much to do at home. All I can say is that if you have enjoyed working with me in any capacity, I hope you have seen my love for humanity, my love for people, which usually manifests as overzealous advocacy for my residents and my passion for this city. And I hope that for however mad you are at me for pushing this issue tonight, I hope that you see what I'm saying as a function of those same traits. For me, speaking out tonight was the right thing to do. And if there's one thing I've learned from, and there is definitely one thing I have learned from working alongside all of you, and it's that in the face of violence, trauma, and yes, the death that we regularly see in our wards at this job, sometimes all you can do is the next right thing. I'll close by borrowing a paragraph from the end of Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail. If I have said anything that overstates the truth and indicates an unreasonable impatience, I beg you to forgive me. If I have said anything that understates the truth and indicates my having a patience that allows me to settle for anything less than brotherhood and sisterhood, I beg God forgive me.
Thank you. Are there any other miscellaneous? Madam Clerk, excuse the absences. Madam Clerk, excuse the absences. There are no absences. Therefore, council is adjourned to the next regular meeting on February the 5th, 2024. Thank you.
No, Council President, Councilman Spencer would like to speak.
I had it standing up. All right. He hit the gavel. I'm so sorry, Council President. My microphone was raised. I apologize. So I do want to speak briefly as well. Earlier this evening, you, Council President, released a statement that Council will not be issuing a ceasefire resolution. I will be putting out a statement with my own thoughts about the resolution.
Excuse me, she has the floor. Please proceed. Councilwoman, you have the floor.
I will be issuing a statement with my own thoughts about the resolution. For tonight, I do want to speak briefly. There are many forms of participation in a democracy. Of course, voting, but also organizing, advocacy, and protest. I have the deepest regard for those who are advocates and organizers, and I understand the important place of protest in a free society. The people who have come to Cleveland City Council are exercising important rights as citizens in a free democratic society. May we as a society never lose these rights. My heart continues to break for the unimaginable number of lives lost and for those held hostage in Gaza. I hope that the International Court of Justice's ruling will increase safety for the people of Gaza. And in closing, I want to take a moment to speak to the public comment rules change that Cleveland City Council voted on last week. With that vote, this body recommitted itself to the public comment period, and I do not think that should be underestimated. I would like to sincerely thank you, Council President, for your leadership on that vote with those rule changes, and to my colleagues for preserving this public forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Council is adjourned to the next regular meeting on February 5th, 2024. Thank you.